we'll pass it on to Stephanie Dixon and talk about the age, maybe the most impressionable age of a young girl is probably 12 to 13, where, you know, she decides if she wants to continue to play sport or not. And listen to this. I mean, considered one of the best swimmers with a disability in the world. And to me, I just think that's one of the best swimmers in the world, quite frankly. I don't think you need to put disability in there at all. 7 golds at the Paralympics, 8 silver, 2 bronze, 17 Paralympic medals. You know, like, it's amazing. And you started swimming at the age of 2, and then if I'm not mistaken, around the age 12, 13, you realized, I want to do this competitively. And what changed in your psyche at that time?
Well, I was born with my disability, and I was really fortunate to have parents who recognized that the world might not be super easy for me, and they wanted me to know that I could do anything I wanted to do, and having one leg didn't have to hold me back before I was at an age where the world was telling me I couldn't. And so at 2 years old, they put me in the pool, and immediately I turned into a little fish. On land, I have crutches or a prosthetic leg, and in the water was the only time it was just me and my body. And I felt so empowered by my body, and my leg really did turn into a little tail. I was aerodynamic, and I just flitted through the water so easily and effortlessly. And so from as long as I can remember, being in the water was the place I felt the most empowered and free. So all growing up, I tried so many different sports. Some I was good at, some I was not so good at, but the place that I felt the most at home, the most comfortable with myself and my body was in the pool. So around 12 years old, I decided to join the local competitive swim club. And at the time, I was never thinking I want to compete at the world stage. I had never heard of the Paralympic Games, and I just wanted to test my abilities and see what I could do. I'm a very determined person. I love to test my abilities and see what my body can do. My parents told me I could do anything I wanted to do, and I believed them. So the pool for me was the perfect place to test that out. And in my first year of competitive swimming, I learned the Paralympic Games existed. And at first, I had a lot of trouble with it. As a 12, 13-year-old girl, I didn't want to be treated any different. I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want different standards or a label across my forehead. I just wanted to be treated like everybody else. But I met some other athletes who had disabilities and realized they were just like me. They just wanted a level playing field. They didn't want any special treatment. They wanted people to be tough on them. No pity, no different expectations. And so I thought, okay, yeah, maybe this could be for me. And I started to train and compete and learn more about the Paralympic Games, meet Paralympians from Canada, and I got so inspired. And I thought someday I could compete for Canada. And then I made it to my first Paralympic Games and recognized not everybody knows what the Paralympic Games are, and that was really, really tough. Being a teenager, I wanted to be super proud. I just won 7 gold medals. But instead, I was explaining to people what the Paralympics are. And no, it's not just for paraplegics, and we're not just participating. This is elite sport. So at that point, my competitive career turned into a place for me to test my abilities, but also to be a part of this huge movement where I could educate people and allow people to recognize that people with disability can be elite athletes as well, and success comes in all different shapes and sizes. And so that was kind of the fuel in my competitive career, was to be able to make a difference on the world and show that they're, just to show what ability really is and what it looks like.
Yeah. You and I have a connection. I don't know if you know this or not, but we're from Brampton,
yes.
Okay? Brampton, Ontario, which I know we're in Alberta. We're not supposed to say we're from the east, but we're from Ontario, and I've lived here in Calgary for 15 years. It's all good. You were born in Brampton. And in 1996, the Olympic Games in Atlanta, we had 8 Olympians from Brampton. Stephen Clark, a great swimmer from Brampton. So legitimately, there's something in the water, in Brampton. No bias. But I wonder if you don't mind sharing a story. We all face adversity, and I'm going to talk a little bit to Colleen Jones about this, that I think in order to be successful, you do have to face adversity. But I'm wondering if there's someone in your life that said you couldn't do it. And do you remember that story and how much it fired you up? I hope I'm not bringing you back to like an emotional time, but I know I get fired up at stuff like this.
One of the first times I was told I couldn't do something that I can remember, a doctor told me I couldn't ride a 2-wheel bicycle. It just doesn't make sense. All the weight's on the left-hand side. You're just going to fall down. And that really irked me. And so I'm not only someone who wants to participate, I want to excel. And so I learned to ride a two-wheel bicycle after falling over on the left-hand side over and over and over again. I would come back home with scrapes and bruises down the left side of my body. But it really wasn't that difficult to figure out, lean to the right. And so I would fall over to the right-hand side, but soon you figure it out, how much you need to lean without falling over. And I did end up learning to ride a two-wheel bicycle with one leg and no hands.
That's great.
You know? It really bothered me that someone, especially somebody without a disability, would have the nerve to tell me what I can or can't do with my body. So it definitely did fuel my fire. In the swimming pool, they would sometimes run provincials for athletes with disability at the same time as provincials for swimmers without disability. And I qualified for both. And so I was competing as a swimmer with a disability and a swimmer without a disability at the same competition. And I qualified for the finals for swimmers without disability. And they said, oh, you can't compete, you have a disability. And you have to go into the special category for people with disability and things like that.
You were too good, that's what it was. You were too good.
Just too good. And that was a big problem for me because I wanted to compete against everybody, you know, and have the greatest competition by my side. And I don't know what their argument was if I had an advantage. I'm aerodynamic, I guess. That could have been a bit of an advantage. But at that point, we worked to change the policies and the rules that if you had a disability, you could compete in your category, your para category, or open as well. That was also an option. So there were a couple times in my life where I felt like I had some barriers in front of me. But I'm so thankful for the barriers and the adversity that I faced in my life because careers and lives are built on the successes. They're built off of the tough moments. We celebrate successes, but lives and character, they're built and the foundation is adversity, overcoming adversity. And I love in the video it said that obstacles are faced in front of you to be scaled. And it's not going to happen the first time, and we really have to learn to embrace failure and to fall down over and over and over again. And as long as we have that support system around us and we keep picking ourselves back up, we can do absolutely incredible things.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.